to the arena right here on iBrandTV. Now it's time to begin from the home scene, talking about the segments on the show. I will begin home scene with the Super Eagles of Nigeria, where the Nigerian Football Federation has reconstituted the Super Eagles coaching crew. And this is coming on the heels of the dismal display at the African Cup of Nations, where the Super Eagles exited at the round of 16, suffering a 1-0 loss to Tunisia in that particular round. So you have a change, and this time around it's not the new coach that everyone was anticipating, talking about the Portuguese Jose Pereira. Rather, it is Emmanuel Amunike, a legend of the side, talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, that is added to the Super Eagles coaching crew. So you have Austin Eguavoen still retaining his position as the head coach, and you have Emmanuel Amunike joining him as the first assistant coach. And there was a statement by the NFF on their official Instagram handle where they detailed the various changes to the Super Eagles coaching crew. You also have Paul Aigbogun, who was formerly the first assistant coach to Austin Eguavoen, dropped from this team, and it means that Paul Aigbogun will no longer be part of the Super Eagles coaching crew. You still have Alois Agu, who is retained as the goalkeeper trainer. You also have Joseph Yobo, the former captain of the side, being wheeled in as the third assistant. And you have Salisu Yusuf retaining his position as the second assistant coach to Austin Eguavoen. And Salisu Yusuf will also lead the home-based Eagles to the Nations Cup, talking about Chan. So there you have it. It's all about trying to ensure that the Super Eagles of Nigeria have the best of tacticians to lead them through the World Cup qualifier against Ghana. Remember, it's over 2 legs, March 23rd and 29th precisely. That's the destination dates that will determine our fate when it comes to the World Cup in Qatar. It's over 2 legs, I said. The first is March 23rd and the second is the 29th of March. 6 days apart, and the Super Eagles have to deliver, else they will fail to qualify for the World Cup in Qatar. Now, the good news for Nigeria is that we'll be away first, so we have the return leg at home, and that could just probably play a huge part in how well we fare to ensure that we qualify for the World Cup in Qatar. But Emmanuel Amunike is someone who is well revered when it comes to the game itself, having been a member of the CAF as well as FIFA Technical Committee over the past years. So is definitely a good addition to the team when you look at the likes of Austin Eguavoen in the mix. The Salisu Yusuf, who, as I said earlier, would handle the CHAN competition, which is the African Nations Cup, but for home-based players. I also have Joseph Yobo, who, despite not having a coaching certificate, is in there as the third assistant coach for the Super Eagles. Let's hope that these changes would spring some sort of impact when it comes to the two-legged affair against Ghana, where we have to win over 2 legs to be able to meet it and make up the team going to the Qatar World Cup. Now let's leave that and move on to the continent, where the Senegalese are still basking in the euphoria of their African Cup of Nations triumph. Remember, it had to deal with penalties, and Sadio Mane, the legend, the homegrown hero, scoring the decisive penalty to seal the win for the Senegalese team. They were welcomed by mammoth crowd as the Senegalese ensured that they enjoyed a very good return to the nation. They were welcomed at the airport by the president himself, Macky Sall, and they had the bus parade right from the airport down to the various streets in the capital, Dakar. And you can see the mammoth crowd, tens of thousands of people lined up the streets. You had bridges. Everywhere was filled up to the brim as the nation celebrated its first African Cup of Nations triumph. Yesterday was declared a public holiday in Senegal as the country was able to celebrate after years of despair and anguish, having suffered 2 slim losses in the finals of the African Cup of Nations. It boiled down to this moment, and it's one that they will cherish for so long. For players astride this golden generation, the weight of a nation, the weight of 60 years, is definitely off them. Now let's move over from there. Now talking about Senegal, remember they won $5 million as a result of their African Cup of Nations triumph, and as much as that is not enough to build a good stadium, I beg your pardon, you can be rest assured that you would have probably 2-3 football academies that will spring up in places around Senegal. And when you look at the way Senegalese football is set up, it's all about the street football. That's how Sadio Mane came about when it comes to, his prominence or emergence on the world scene. It was as a result of street football. He has told that story over and over again. So you can rest assured that some of the funds that they got from that triumph will definitely go into creating facilities for promising footballers to be able to express themselves. Now let's move away from there now to the Premier League, and we'll start with Manchester United, who will be playing today in the Premier League, and it's against Burnley. That's a tricky tie. The good news for Manchester United is Edson Cavani is back in the squad, having missed out the last game in the FA Cup due to rest. He got an extended break following his national commitments with Uruguay during the World Cup qualifiers, but he's back in the squad. You also have Jesse Lingard, who is back in the squad. Last week, there was a bit of controversy as interim manager Ralf Rangnick claimed Lingard asked the club for a break for some time so as to clear his head. But you had Lingard respond on Twitter dispelling that allegation, saying that rather it was the club that asked for a break, not him. And the contradictory statements, I think that has been resolved as Lingard has now been included in the squad to face Burnley this time around. He couldn't force a move out of Old Trafford as a sixth playing time to boost his chances of being on that plane to the Qatar World Cup 2022. For most players now, it's all about the playing time to ensure that they get their own spots when it comes to their nation squad for the World Cup taking place in November and December, the very first in the Middle East. Now let's move, still talking about Manchester United, but let's talk about the player in particular. He's been in the news for the wrong reasons over the last 1 week plus, and that's Mason Greenwood. Yes, Mason Greenwood, the latest about him is that Nike has dropped him as their athlete. The contract is terminated just a few days after the allegations surfaced online. You had Nike releasing a statement saying they've suspended their partnership with him pending the outcome of the investigation. But the sportswear giants have now decided to terminate the contract as a whole, and it just shows you how isolated he is at this point in time. Remember, he's facing several allegations of rape, assault, as well as threats to kill. And while he's released on bail, is currently the investigation is currently ongoing as investigators or prosecutors rather are trying to unravel the truth behind the whole allegations, and one would just hope that truth prevails and justice is served accordingly. But for Mason Greenwood, this is not the best of time. Apparently has been suspended by Manchester United from competitive football as well as training, and you have his teammates also isolating him with likes of Cristiano Ronaldo as well as David De Gea unfollowing him from social media platforms like Instagram. You also have video game developer EA Sports having also pulled out Mason Greenwood from their various squads when it comes to their games such as your FIFA 2021 or 2022 as aware. So Mason Greenwood right about now in isolation, and we just hope that truth, as I said earlier, prevails and justice is served accordingly. Now, still talking about Premier League matches taking place tonight, we have a big one. It's Everton against Newcastle United at St. James's Park, and this time around it's a debut for Frank Lampard, talking about his league debut for Everton Football Club as the manager. The very first one was an impressive one, I beg your pardon, a 4-1 win over Brentford in the FA Cup, and it showed signs of life once again at Goodson Park. This time around, it's not at Goodson Park. Lampard will be leading his words to St. James's Park, where they would look to make it 2 wins out of 2 for Frank Lampard. And it's a full squad. The squad is healthy. You have Richarlison and Mix. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is also back and ready to roll. You have Traore, who is also back in training, having suffered injuries just weeks back. So it's a full squad for Frank Lampard. Let's see if the Cinderella run or Cinderella starts, if you want to call that, continues with Everton Football Club as they seek to make their way up the league standings. Now let's move over from there to the Chinese star I mentioned, Shuai Peng. Just yesterday, she granted an interview, or rather 2 days ago, I beg your pardon, she granted an interview to French newspaper L'Equipe, and that was as a result of concerns about her safety. It's the second interview, or rather the first interview she's granted to a Western paper, and that's as a result of concerns about her well-being.